Good evening, everyone. We're just waiting for PG to join. Once he joins, the meeting will continue. Welcome everyone to the TNN platform. It's the new Nigerian platform. It's a podcast with President General Micheal Magaji. Welcome, PG. It's a privilege to have you on our platform.
Thank you very much, David. I'm honored to be here.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. The process would be for everybody to please remain mute. There'll be a time where people can ask President General questions. If you have a camera, it's very important that you turn your cameras on so that we can know who is on the platform. In terms of introductions, we'll be most grateful if you put your names also on your Zoom so that we know exactly who is attending and who is not. President General Micheal Magaji, for those who don't know you, to the audience of the New Nigerian, if you could have your camera on, we would like for you to give us a brief introduction about yourself, your early life and influences. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, David, and good evening to my dear colleagues of TNN and of course, my brothers and sisters of USOSA. We just experienced power outage here in Nigeria, in Kaduna, where I'm trying to put the power plant on. So you excuse me for a few minutes if I can just talk, and then hopefully the lights will come on very shortly. David, no, is that okay with you?
Of course.
My apologies, please. Challenges of development. Once again, good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. First and most, let me thank David for giving me the honor and privilege to be on TNN. And David, well done. You're doing a great job trying to rebuild a new Nigeria. And of course, that's what USOSA is all about. But before we go into that, just a little about myself. I was born about 54 years ago in Jos, Plateau State. I went to Hillcrest School in Jos and then Federal Government College, Jos, Unity School. From there, I went to do my university education in Maiduguri, University of Maiduguri and Université du Franche-Comté in France. I was also in University of Lagos to do my postgraduate, and I also did another postgraduate in the United States International University in Nairobi, Kenya. Also. By way of career, I started my career in Citibank, NA, which was called NIB in Lagos, 1991, and grew to senior management before I exited. I also was in the senior management of Access Bank, the new Access Bank in 2002, when the new ownership took over. So I'm a banker by training and by work life. After banking, I opted out for consulting. And today I do a lot in the development and management space, especially as it relates to finance and strategy. I'm typically a strategy person. Yes, I've lived in Nigeria, I've lived in Nairobi, I've lived in other parts of the world, and I've learned a lot from that experience. I've also done a lot of programs outside Nigeria in terms of personal development. I'm an alumnus of the Harvard Kennedy School, and there are quite a few other schools I I went to abroad. What is my passion? Well, strategy and developing strategy is key for me. I like to think through problems, solutions, and then provide, added value to situations. More recently, I want to dedicate a lot of my time into elements of development as it relates to education and health. I'm a student of the Multidimensional Poverty Index, which uses education and health as a key measure in understanding and eradicating poverty. So I've done a lot in the education space because of this interest. I was a co-founder of the Kaduna Business School and a founding member of a faculty. That's an executive education. I was also a governing council member of Veritas University in Abuja for many years. That's tertiary education. But for basic and secondary, I currently sit on the board of Brook House Schools in Nairobi, Kenya. And Brook House is an interesting school. It's a G30 school, one of the top 30 secondary schools across the globe. There are 30 of them, and Brook House in Nairobi is one of them. I sit on the advisory board. So that has given me a lot of passion and drive to with education. I've also been involved with alumni relations, starting from my school, Federal Government College. I also am involved in Hillcrest School, JOS alumni. And of course, more recently, like all of you know, I was elected the President General of USOSA, the Unity School Old Students Association. I'm delighted and honored to have my immediate past President General, Lawrence Wilbert, on this call. And I know there'll be a lot of value addition with him also being here. So what are we trying to do with education? It is my personal belief that no country can develop as well as it should if it does not address the issues of education, particularly at the basic and secondary level, because that is the foundation that is needed to launch any country into where it is. If you hear about how mathematics is taught in Norway or in the Scandinavian countries, especially at basic and secondary education level, you now understand why those countries are also doing so well. There's a method to the learning experience, and that has translated into national development. So I'm very passionate about the issues around education, and I serve in a whole lot of education-related initiatives, basically to promote this, most recently being USOSA. So in a nutshell, that's what it is, Dave. I'm married, I have a son, and well, yes, maybe I speak English, French, and a few other local languages. Maybe if that helps. So that's a little about me. Yeah, that's a little about me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Micheal. Like I said, it's a privilege to have you here. Our conversations are centered around value. Our conversations are centered around knowledge. President General, you went to the Federal Government College, JOS. Give us an instance which pushed you towards becoming an alumni. What was a unique event that happened to you in Federal Government College, JOS? It's always interesting to know something about the impact of your school on top of the person.
Yeah, well, Dave, the interesting thing is I really did not know much about Federal Government College until I got there. My dad and my parents must have been advised and informed about the value around Federal Government College, because I really didn't know. I was coming from Hillcrest School in JOS in grade 6. And if you know Hillcrest was is an American international school, the first in this country, set up in 1942. At that time, I was in class with all the white boys. There were probably just 3 or 4 of us that were black in class, So that was the kind of setting. I could tell you about all the states in America, all the states in Canada. We had to learn all that, the geography, but we didn't really know much about Nigeria, because it was largely a school for American missionary children whose parents were serving in Nigeria and other parts of West Africa. So coming to Federal Government College, here was I with, people who are really like me, Nigerians. And not just Nigerians, but Nigerians from all over. one unique experience, I tell you, Dave, and I think it stands out for most of us, is that we came into an environment where we're put in class with people from all over Nigeria. We, in our innocence, we learned to integrate. In our innocence, we learned to understand what diversity meant. In our innocence, it really didn't matter where anybody was from. And that was very striking. I mean, I tell you that for some people, many of us didn't know where we were from until after we had even left Federal Government College. But again, these were young, bright people. These were people from all over Nigeria, boys and girls, because I went to a co-ed. Of course, like, there are girls' schools, but mine was co-ed. And sitting in class, walking through adolescence, and all the challenges that come with it, it was fantastic. We had South African students in Federal Government College. We had Zimbabweans, we had some Mozambicans who were trained by the government of Nigeria during the apartheid regime, basically as a foreign policy tool, instrument, and sitting with an international crowd, even even knowing that that school was actually a public school in Nigeria. So those things were very striking. And the other thing was, it was amazing who thought through this policy of bringing all Nigerians under one school or one classroom. I mean, those public policy officials then must have been very creative and ingenious, and indeed the leadership of our country then in trying to put everybody together. And that has rubbed off on me and most of us very positively. So we've been able to integrate. We understand nationhood. We understand what it means to be a Nigerian over and above any other consideration. So those were the early signs, and like I said, we just didn't know the difference. It's just only now that people start to distill and say, okay, that guy's name sounded like this, so he must have been from here or from there. But then, you just pick the name and you pronounce it the way, you were taught. And we're taught to learn, we're taught to excel, we're taught to be nice to each other, we're taught to love our country. And there were rules of engagement, which has formed our character, which has formed who we really are as students of Federal Government College. So those experiences, David, were very, very unique, and they've stayed with me. And that's why today, it doesn't matter where I go, across Nigeria, I have friends and real friends, because like they tell you, your genuine friends are those that you met in secondary school. That's really where you have your genuine friends. So we've learned to integrate, and I think today, because of the benefit of that education, we can actually save Nigeria from what it's going through. Yeah, sorry, the power just came on. My apologies once again to those who have been waiting. Yeah, that's me. I dare say it's one of the best experiences that we've had as alumni of Federal Government Colleges.
That's absolutely brilliant, President General. Right, so pro unitate. We all know what that means. At some point, we've all mentioned that word. I'm going to go straight to USOSA. Fantastic organization, a brilliant idea. I happen to be friends with the past President General, Lawrence Wilbert, a great human being who carried USOSA to the level before handing over the baton to you. But let me hear from you. What pushed you towards USOSA? What sparked the idea in you to serve as a member of USOSA? And what are the exciting parts of USOSA in your own opinion?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Dave. Well, USOSA was set up about 16 years ago, a little over 16 years ago. At the time, Federal Government College Warri was meant to celebrate its 40th anniversary. And that was extended to this whole USOSA concept. And instead of Warri doing their thing, they now said, hey, hold on, why don't we look beyond just Warri and, search for another platform, common ground that has all of us in it. At that time, of course, Warri was one of the founding unity schools, Warri, Sokoto, and Oposi. And, they've spearheaded this movement right from the beginning. And it was not just to celebrate 40 years again or to set up USOSA, but for us, it was also an attempt to look at how we can give back to these schools. The government of Nigeria had invested so much in us, had subsidized education, and we're like, okay, fine. Many of us have been able to grow and become something in life. How can we give back? We're in a country that is not very good at doing that. People want to take from the system, take from the family, take from organizations. Nobody wants to put back. And we are saying, can we reinvest our time, our resources, our energy in these schools, not just for the sake of the schools, but in nation building as a whole? And I stand to be corrected, and I say it everywhere. There's no tribe of Nigerians that understand Nigeria as well as USOSANs, because we have understood diversity, we've lived with it, we've worked with it right from a very early stage. And USOSA was set up to bring together alumni from all these unity schools. Today we have 110 of them, with about 50 out of that pack very active in alumni relations and in USOSA. And how can we now as adults, and in some cases senior citizens, give back to a system that did so well to us? We must find a way of regenerating our country, regenerating systems through giving back. If everybody takes and keeps milking and milking and we don't put something back, the country itself will die, because resources are limited, the numbers are growing. So that was what informed the setting up of USOSA. On a personal level, it's something I also had a passion for, because I've been involved in alumni relations of my own school, Federal Government College Jos, right for about over 33 years now, which is twice the time, if you look at USOSA being a 16-year-old, I mean, Jos was already doing alumni things 33 years ago. And so I was already used to that movement of alumni relations. And this was a bigger thing. And I thought, this is bigger, so let's be part of it. Let's also bake this cake. So I was invited by some of the elders, the senior students at the time, and I joined. And it's been a wonderful ride, because over the years, USOSA has grown from, just 4 or 5 schools to about 50 active schools, and we're doing so much. And through our joint efforts, putting back a lot in the system, we're creating a lot of awareness. We're building alumni relationships with different partners and partnerships, and it's growing. And I think it's something as a country we should do, giving back, reminding people that, 30, 40 years ago, you were not standing this tall, and you're standing tall now because there's a history to it. There's a learning experience to it. And that learning experience was what Unity Schools, and we must put something back. We must reinvest for the younger generation, for the future generation. It's something that I hold very dear, and I commend the founding fathers of USOSA. I commend all my predecessors who have put so much in to this movement to rejuvenate the schools, but even more importantly, start looking at nationhood and this journey of nationhood, which we have experienced as USOSANs, given the colorful background all of us came from and the experiences we went through. And that has been a passion for me, and it's something I would like to continue for the rest of my life.
Thank you very much, Micheal. It leads to my next question. You were recently elected as the President General of the body USOSA. Can you please espouse your vision and your plans to execute your vision?
Okay, well, fine. For organizations like this, and indeed any organization, I like to build on what people have done before me. Government is a continuum. I don't have a separate agenda from what everybody has done. I might adjust it, I might tweak with it, I might improve in certain areas, but essentially, it's still all about how we can give back, how we can create an association that can harness its resources, harness its skills to put back into those schools, because we've come to realize that government alone, unfortunately, can't fund education. And even if they can, they don't appear to be doing so. So how can we as USOSANs come in? Don't forget, in other parts of the world, people even get tax credits for charity. If you spend on charity, you get a tax credit just because of that. So we need to build that culture too of giving back. And for me, as President General, I want to say all my predecessors have done very, very well. What I would like to improve on probably is, what I call strategic partnerships and alliances. And I mean, Dave, here you are in the UK trying to build a new Nigeria. We're quite happy to work with people who want to do that. Because we are Nigerians, we also want to build a new Nigeria through education. All right, we're looking at development partners. Just before I came in, my predecessor signed an MOU for tree planting that would address climate change in 24 schools as pilot, but planting over 10,000 trees. We're looking at other stakeholders and development partners, the MacArthur Foundation, the World Bank, Sterling One Foundation, to push the frontiers for developing education, because I don't believe we can do it alone or just simply by subscription of fees and dues. We must look for partnerships. We must look for other associations who are like us to strengthen and reinforce what we're doing. So it's going to be a major area of thrust for me. And I have also actively engaged the diaspora community because many of you are out there and you understand best practices. You've seen them happen. And we'll be leveraging on those things to strengthen USOSA and to make it even better. My vision ultimately, and I've said this even before coming to office, is I would like to see a situation where Nigerian parents would take their kids out of private schools and bring them back to public schools. And don't say, Mike, it's not possible, because if you read about Rwanda, that's what happened. Private schools in Rwanda closed down because the public schools were doing so well. And if you remember, 30, 40 years ago, I mean, nobody went to private schools at secondary school level. It was all, you either went to an FGC or you went to a mission school or a faith-based organization. Nobody really went to private schools. But because the public schools started to fail, private schools now picked up. But my vision during my tenure and even after it would be to get Nigerian parents to bring their kids back to public schools and still get good education. And I'm going to institute a prize to the best principal, male and female, during my tenure, that we're able to bring their school to a standard where they can say, you know what, people left private schools and came back to my school to get good quality education.
That is fantastic. To the audience listening, you've heard that. There's going to be a prize instituted by the current President General. Micheal, your predecessor, Lawrence Wilbert, sort of initiated the Diaspora Alliance. Going forward, what collaboration would you expect from the federal government college or federal government girls college alumni in diaspora? It's a very powerful and very big body, and we would like for you to please tell the audience what you would want in form of collaborations.
Yeah, like I was saying, these strategic partnerships are key to what we want to do. And I give kudos to my predecessor for initiating. And I'm going to just simply build on what he started and then deepen it because it was a great initiative. We actually realized that there were so many of you in diaspora. Okay, it's only when you have data that you can work with data. And as we started putting the data together, we found out that there were
Oh dear, we've lost connection. Hopefully connection will be back shortly. While we're waiting, I'll just give a brief introduction to TNN. TNN is the new Nigerian. The purpose of the platform is to do what we call the reverse brain drain, to bridge the gap between diaspora and motherland. Luckily for us, are you back? Excellent. Carry on. Carry on,
Yes,
PG.
and for those of you who have been in diaspora, some of you for 20, 30, 40 years, there's so much we can learn from you. There's so much of collaboration that we can bring to the table. And
so every time we lose PG, I'll tell you guys a bit more about TNN. Basically, we intend to bridge the gap between diaspora and Nigeria. Are you back, PG?
yes, I'm back. Sorry, a call came in and just kept on knocking this off. You know,
No problem.
so we're happy to work with all the associations in diaspora, girls' schools, the co-ed schools, the science colleges, to see how we can reinforce our relationship and work with each other, again, to bring back the glory to these schools and to our nation. The diaspora accounts for a major part, not just federal government colleges, but a major part of even our Nigerian economy. I mean, when you hear that diaspora remittances about $21 billion a year, that's a lot of money. So you guys are working quite hard out there. A lot of money comes in. And so who says it doesn't have to be money? I mean, who says, you know, we can't tap from your intellect? We can't tap from your experience to bring our schools back to where they should be. What about you guys coming to volunteer over a summer holiday in some of these schools to teach, for example? You know, and to give time. I mean, these are things we'll be quite happy to do. So on behalf of the National Executive, I can tell you that we're quite happy to work with diasporans and we want to forge a very useful partnership. Only last week, about 10 days ago, my Vice President General was in the UK and she had a meeting with the UK chapter, well, not UK chapter, but the USOSAs in UK. And it was very successful. And they've assured us of their willingness and readiness to work with us in diaspora relations and as it relates to the school. So as we go along, the diasporans will definitely be involved. I would have loved a diasporan to be part of my executive committee, actually. Unfortunately, that didn't happen during the election, but trust me, David, I'll be calling on many of you to support us with your ideas, with your network, to see how we can move this machine.
You definitely have the support of the New Nigerian, as well as the support of the Federal Government College, Idoani. Under your predecessor, I believe Idoani became slightly more involved and more aware of USOSA. We're indeed grateful for that. I'm going to open the floor to the audience. Anybody who has a question to ask of PG, to please raise their hands and I'll call on you to ask. But I would like to introduce the past President General, who I'm also privileged to have here, who would probably want to say a few words or ask a question of the current President General. Welcome, Lawrence Wilbert. It's a privilege to have you here.
David, that was not expected. Good evening, fellow Nigerians. Good evening, viewers from TNN. I salute my President General, the great gentleman, the great collaborator, the great unifier, Magaji. You know, the things that he didn't talk about is, there's one thing PG is good at. I think he alluded to that, really. He's good at making sure that he finds out where people are and what they do and bring them together to see that you can, you can pull the juice out of the lemon and get things moving, So, I mean, I was privileged to work with him for 4 years, and all that we achieved within that period with the input from the team members, a good part of those initiatives were Magaji's. The other thing that he spoke about but did not list clearly was the fact that it's a foundation USOSA. This is a man that was there where the constitution, the initial constitution, was drafted, and so he has institutional memory, and he knows where he needs to push USOSA, and that is why when you ask a question about the vision, you see the way he responded, because he's been there from the very beginning and he knows where USOSA needs to be pushed to. And I commend him for all that. I've chosen not to put my video on because I always try to appear as if I'm a young man, but I have this growing beard and we haven't shaved today. So I just, so David and everyone in the audience, I mean, listening, please permit me that we just go this way. I will leave questions to all members listening in to ask. And bear in mind that we all work with Mike Magaji under his leadership. We are committed to seeing that his leadership succeeds because he has a drive and he knows where he's taking USOSA to. Our job, myself as an ex-officio, is to see that we support that drive and make sure that we deliver on the tasks that he gives us to handle. So thank you for this opportunity to speak. I celebrate all USOSANs. I also see some distinguished USOSANs here. I can see Senior and the Tsar. I also celebrate the great leader in the UK, the USOSANs in the UK leader, Chileme Hayes, and also past members of the past EXCO that are in this call. I celebrate all of you. Thank you, David, for the opportunity to chip in this way. I'll exit now for others to pose questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lawrence. It's always a privilege to have you on board. Chileme Hayes, I hope I've got that name right. Obviously,
yeah, well done. Yes.
Lawrence just introduced you as one of the diasporans in the room. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Obviously, I'm a lead in England and Wales, and I'm very pleased to be I'm privileged to be part of the movement to take USOSA to a higher level. The outgoing President General who has just spoken was amazing. And he's handed the baton to the right person who's got all the background and skill sets necessary to build on what the outgoing has done. So we are very proud to have him as the President General, and we pledge our support to him to make sure that we are on ground here to do whatever is necessary to continue to raise the profile of USOSA in general. I think USOSA is a fantastic organization. And one of the things that I'll just add to what the President General said is the uniqueness of USOSA. We had our first meet and greet on the 2nd of January this year. And all those who attended showed that pro-unitatis uniqueness. We had never met before, but we had such a fantastic time. The camaraderie was just amazing. We were all so happy together. It was as if we've known each other from school days. And that's the uniqueness in the umbrella USOSA body. Those of you who haven't joined, I enjoin you to join the movement. It is a unique organization, and it can be a formidable lobby group in Nigeria. We are at the turning point where we all need to go back to basics in terms of education, because education is critical and key. And there's no other better group than the Unity Schools who can remind Nigerians of what it is to have a good education. A good education is the most important thing you can give to a child. And you drop the child anywhere in the world, and the child thrives and succeeds, just like those of us who have attended unity schools. The difference is clear. So let us all join hands with the President General and do what we do best. Thank you all very much. And I look forward to us doing a lot of progressive things together to improve the education in Nigeria.
Thank you, Chileme. I would let the President General respond to that.
Okay, thank you.
PG, you're on mute.
Yes, thank you, Chileme. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, like I said, just 10 days ago, Chileme hosted at her own cost a meeting of USOSANs in London. Again, the camaraderie, the solidarity, the warmth, the hospitality that USOSANs are known for, the passion for their country. I mean, you could see it, you know, I spoke to them on a video call that day, and everybody was all hyped up about, you know, this solidarity. And this will continue, not just having meetings where we'll eat and drink, but come up with solutions for Nigeria, because we are of age to do that. In fact, we have been prepared for that by virtue of the quality of the education we got at the government college. And even for the diasporans, I always say, you know, before you got your red or blue passport, it was the green, you know, and that's what qualified you to get all the other passports. So there's time also to give back. Chileme has done a great job so far in trying to mobilize, and she's still doing that. And she's spoken about the uniqueness of USOSANs, our quality. You know, without even being told, when you meet a USOSAN, you know. When you meet somebody who went to a federal government college or a federal government girls college, you know. The quality is good, the language is good, the finance is good, the etiquette is good. The love of country, you see, it's very obvious. The ability to mix up as a team and understand breaking down all the mental barriers are there. So the time has come for us to build our country back, build our schools back, and particularly at this time where Nigeria and Nigerians feel very, very disunited. Nigerians are very low on the morale of nationhood today. Everybody seems to want to go their own way. And we're saying no, and like Chileme said, let's tell them and show them how it used to be. It doesn't matter whether you're an Obiora or you're Mohammed or you're Kayode. I mean, we all did our stuff together. Went to church and mosque together. We prayed and fasted together. We had teachers from all over Nigeria. We even had foreigners who came to teach. It was a beautiful learning experience. So now is the time, 30 years later, 40 years later, to put this back and remind Nigerians there once was a nation like this, and it is still possible. It's a mindset thing. You know, I always tell people that, you know, it's just like when you hear Americans talk, and they talk very proudly about their country, and you can see that the guy's face represents either a Chinese or a Jamaican or, you know, a Jew, but he tells you, I'm American. It's a feeling of nationhood. We want to use that also we want to put that psyche back into Nigerians and let Nigerians start to feel Nigerian again. Let them be able to bring down those barriers, and let us as USOSAN serve as a model for other Nigerians. So while people are talking about separation, we should be talking about unity. While people are talking about, differences, we're talking about unity in diversity, because we understand it, we've lived it. Chileme made the point, and I'm very happy that she's also here. And with what I've seen so far, I think we're good for a very exciting time with diasporans, not only in UK, but all over the world, to see how we can build our country, build this association, and move to higher heights. Of course, Lawrence said quite a lot. He is my immediate past boss as PG, and he's been there. Yes, I didn't want to talk about being a founding member of USOSA, but yes, I've lived through the last 16 years with USOSA, seen its ups and downs. So I believe with that little institutional memory and experience, That will also help us in guiding the new team and indeed all other people involved in USOSA towards higher heights. Thank you.
Thank you, President General. Andy, I will give the floor to you very shortly. I just want to make a few comments. Until 2017, I had no vision about Nigeria at all. I was already British. All my energy was diverted towards the life in the UK. Until a friend took me to a political activity within the UK of Nigerians. And then I realized the passion Nigerians in diaspora actually have for motherland. It got me thinking. This was the birth of the new Nigeria. What, in essence, I'm trying to say, especially being privileged to go to a unity school, is that we are so diverse. And if my memory from investigations are correct, I believe we are up to 3 million strong alumni. Let's join hands with President General. One, to make the unity schools like his vision is, schools where private school students can return to. Two, to build and forge a stronger Nigerian. Believe me, 3 million strong, we are capable of changing things in Nigeria. I'll give the floor to you, Andy, to ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you for everything that you are doing for TNN. I'm glad that you are back. You are no more putting your energy for just the UK. You are back. Home is home. And for me, Nigeria is all I have. And wherever I go, I still long to come back to Nigeria. And I want to thank our past PG for everything he has done. I know that he has done wonderfully well. And our current PG, who was his vice, actually did excellently well too. And I'm glad that he's now in charge of the USOSA team. And I believe he will take us to the next level. I'm Andy, Sacro Federal Government College, Maiduguri, 79 set. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. And at the time I went to Maiduguri, all of us here also know that we went to school with everybody from all parts of the world, even from foreigners from Namibia, some Zimbabwe, and all those kind of things. And there was no division. At that age, when we are very, very young, you see, our minds are malleable. And I know the past PG has started something on it. My concern really is this division that has entered unity schools. From that young age, you start telling, the children start seeing that, oh, I'm different from this one, I'm different from this one. Why am I saying this? I'm talking from the aspect of the uniform. I want uniforms to come back to what it used to be. We don't want to create that mindset in those young kids that, oh, I'm different from this person. That never happened during our own time. And I don't know why they've allowed this to creep in, because I believe when they turn the unity school as state schools, that's why this thing is coming up. And I believe the current PG will pick it up on this thing and ensure that we don't create that division in those young children. When I finished school, I could go to any part of Nigeria and feel comfortable. All I need is just a contact of one student that finished from my degree, and I'm good to go. But today, a lot has come in that is trying to destroy our country and bring it to its knees. And I'm glad that USOSANs can bring that change. the unity schools are old enough to bring in leaders that can take over this country too. So yes, we know that we are not a political organization, but we can use it as a platform to launch our people. Let USOSA come, because I know an USOSA will make a difference in any position he finds, or he or she finds himself in this country. So my PG, I congratulate you for your new post, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you,
so,
sir.
I will throw that question to you, Micheal, regarding the uniform and how we can take that division away from the current crop of students in our unity schools.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, there are quite a few issues that we need to look at. From the institutional perspective, we have engaged the Federal Ministry of Education and asked them to reactivate the USOSA desk in the Ministry of Education, where there will be an interface, a formal interface, and somebody with desk responsibility to deal with issues that relate to unity schools, not just officials of FME, but in conjunction with the alumni themselves. So this will serve as a feedback mechanism to the owners of the schools, which is the Ministry of Education, to say, hey, look, we notice that this is happening and we don't think it occurs well. Now, having said that, you know, we also know that society has changed in so many ways. Even parenting has changed in so many ways. The way our parents looked after us those days, their concern for their kids and coming to PTA meetings and getting involved. Today, you don't see much of that anymore. So even the way students conduct themselves is very different from how it used to be. The way parents also conduct themselves is also different from how it used to be. As national president of my alumni association, I remember many times having to come to the PTA meetings, settling quarrels. There were even court cases over money and very pedestrian things. This never happened when our parents were in the PTA, you know. We've had situations too recently. We've heard things like, now junior students stay in separate hostels from senior students. In our time, it was mixed. You had 2 or 3 people from every class in the same hostel. So you had 2 boys from Form 5, 2 from 4, 2 and all the way down. Now they're saying no, because of bullying and abuse, the juniors stay on their own, the seniors stay on their own. And we're wondering whether those models will work. But these are things that we'll take up in USOSA under the education committee with their quality assurance team. Because what used to work then may or may not work now, given the realities. And a part of it too is that there's no institutional memory. So those teachers and administrators who did these things 30, 40 years ago are no longer in service. And the younger teachers and administrators don't also have that memory. So people just come in and they just implement new policies. We have also pushed that we like USOSANs who have the education bias or trained, who are trained in education administration to enroll in the public service and also come and teach in these schools, because you can only give what you have. Many of these our teachers and principals, they were not in unity schools, they didn't go to unity schools. So their experience also is very different. So we're also pushing that to see how we can make a difference. And then still on the behavior and attitude, one of the things we would also like to do as USOSA is this whole mentoring, you know, where the older generation is able to relate with the new generation of USOSANs and of schools too. One of the things I did also as national president then was to bring old students to come to school assemblies, to come to sport days, to come to speech and prize giving days, and then to inspire and give talks so that, you know, you can mentor these young ones. And I've told you, USOSANs, it doesn't have to be your school. Find a school near you, in your neighborhood, in your state, in your province, or, you know, or local government, and go there and volunteer. Let people know you also went to a federal government college. That may help to inspire people. That will also help to transform them. So we can all do this in so many ways. And for you as diasporans, I mean, you can imagine going back to your school or any federal government college for that matter, and saying, look, I've lived here for 20, 30 years. You can imagine how inspired young people would be that somebody went to, you know, a federal government college, Jos or Gualao or Wari or Boko or Abuloma, is a top shot in the UK or the US, you can imagine how that will inspire kids. So those are the kind of things we like to encourage and do. And we hope that those of you in diaspora, if you have time, when you come home, just visit the closest school to you and just present yourself. I'm sure the principals will be very happy to welcome you and give you a few minutes to talk to the kids to even inspire them. So it's a work in progress, and we're taking note of all the comments that have been made, and we'll definitely do our best to implement them.
Excellent. A few things TNN has done since inception is being able to get some diasporans to start projects in Nigeria. We now have people in the health sector doing things. We have people in the agricultural sector doing things who have been on the platform, who have pledged to do what they want to do, what they should do. TNN is in collaboration with a school in Abuja. It's a school for orphans, it's a school for the homeless, and it's a school for the abused kids. We're in partnership with them, taking those children through education. We also have a scheme called Feed the Children, which we run 3 times a year. The last one was done in Benin City, Edo State, where we fed over 250 children, gave scholarship to 4 for 1 term because we're still young. Hopefully, they'll get to a point where we can give 1,000 children scholarship because the children are the future. All of us here who have gone to unity schools, I'm sure we give back one way or the other. But we need to all come together and do something really solid. Like Andy said, I believe that within us, there are potential leaders who will do better. I'm not suggesting a movement, but it looks like we have a movement in the making. I'll leave that to the leadership of the association. Please, let's join hands with Micheal to get initiatives on ground. Like he said, it doesn't even have to be your school. It could be a school in the neighborhood. It could be sponsoring 1 child. It could be sponsoring 2 children. It could be getting, I'm talking about those in diaspora now, it could be getting a load of clothes, a load of shoes down to these children. They are the future, and we must create better for them. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question of our President General? So what I will do then is I will ask another question. President General, as much as the unity schools are our main or your main focus, we have children in the rural areas. I believe that you have a political background trying to represent your state in the Senate. How do you intend to support those people in the rural areas who never get any help?
Yeah, well, like Dave, I mean, the 2 key elements that guarantee sound education are, quality and access. And in the rural areas, both are largely lacking. Kids don't have access to school, and where they do, the quality is very poor. If you've seen the numbers of out-of-school children, or if you look at the multidimensional poverty index that was released in the country just a few weeks ago, as it relates to education, which it doesn't measure just only enrollment, but also attrition, and nutrition and so many things. The indices are all going down. They're getting worse by the day. But that information will give us a basis. And yes, thank you for mentioning the fact that yes, I'm running for office as senator, and I do hope if God helps us to succeed, one of the key committees I would like to belong to is the Education Committee of the Senate, and hopefully through that platform push the education agenda, not only for unity schools but education as a whole. Because we need to do much, much more. Fortunately or unfortunately, the education is on the concurrent list of our constitution, which means it's been handled by both the federal government and the subnational governments. And the federal government is doing its own bit. The subnationals are also doing theirs with various levels and degrees of success. We must have a standard way of measuring these things, such that the education that you get in Sokoto should be very similar to what you get in Ondo. It doesn't matter whether it's a federal college or it's owned by subnational. So we must also try to standardize, and that's one of the things I would like to push. There should be greater and stronger collaboration between the federal government and the subnational governments in delivering education to the people, because the Constitution says Nigerians should be guaranteed the right to education, the right to school. It didn't say the federal government must do it or the state government will do it. Every one of us, both the federal and subnational governments, has a responsibility to meet the terms of that clause of the Constitution. And these are the things I would like us to promote when we get into office for these things. With or without that, as USOSA will continue to also be an advocate of change and improvement in education. That's something we need to do. And I'm happy you talked about what TNN is doing with children, social investment programs, social impact programs. And please, next time at TNN, start thinking of USOSA to feed the federal government colleges, start thinking of people with special needs, even those orphans. Guess what? In some federal government colleges now, because of the issue with the crisis in different parts of the country, a lot of kids are moved to other federal government colleges because they are now either orphaned or they've lost their parents simply because they were in one particular location. So even for your Feed the Children program, the orphan program, there are federal schools now who have such kids. And I would like you also to direct your attention towards that. And as USOSA, we'll be quite happy to sign off a partnership with you to do that, even if it's in pilot schools across the 6 geopolitical zones. So that also is also highly welcome. So as we continue this movement, we're welcome and open to any initiative, any new initiative that would add value, that will provide better access and quality, and give the rural areas the quality of education that those in the urban areas get. I mean, there's no reason why the standards there should be that disparity, but that's the reality. And we hope to build this association to address those things. We hope to also advocate for better quality education and better access for all Nigerians, irrespective of whether they're in urban areas or in the rural areas.
Thank you, PG. Another pertinent question I would ask is, how do you or how does USOSA envision USOSANs taking control of leadership in Nigeria? What is your take on this in collaboration with your EXCO?
Yeah, well, as USOSA, we are apolitical in the sense that we cannot, we're not partisan. Let me just put it that way. We're not partisan, but we encourage our members to participate in the development space, in the political space. If you were at our last AGM in Abuja a few weeks ago, in December, there was a video, and I'll probably send that to you, Dave, when you have free time. A video that actually was a compilation of all USOSANs, or at least most of them, who are running for office. And among them, we have governorship candidates, we have senatorial candidates, we have House of Assembly candidates, we have male, we have female, the whole range. So a lot of USOSANs are now ready and are positioning for political office. We have nothing against that. We just want them to abide by the ethos of nationhood, the ethos of unity schools, which revolves around excellence, love of country, fairness, teamwork, all those things that we have always stood for. So we're not going to tell you vote for this party or vote for that party, but we know that it doesn't matter what party a USOSAN is in. It's very likely that person will carry our ethos into that party or into that political space and make a difference. That much we're very sure of. And like you said, I'm not sure 3 million is the figure, but we're closer to 1 million than 3 million in terms of our population. But even that, some countries are not up to 1 million in size. So yes, USOSA can change the narrative in this country based on what we believe, our passion for our country, our passion for education and development. That is very possible, you know, and we're quite happy to see USOSANs participate in the political space, and I'll give our own small support, not on a partisan level, but because they are USOSANs. So I think USOSANs can make a difference in this country, no doubt about it, because they've made a difference in many organizations in many countries. So why not Nigeria? Why not the state governments? Why not the local governments? USOSANs can make a difference.
Absolutely. We can go on and on and on, but we tend to have a podcast for 1 hour. We know everybody here is very busy. A final, how will I put it now? This is a chance for you, President General, to let us know how we can support. Are there websites? Are there account numbers? How can the General USOSA support the association in building a brighter, stronger future for Nigeria, for our kids, and for our schools?
Yeah, very simple, David, very simple. Get involved. What do I mean by get involved? For every USOSA, chances are you have an old students association. You know, so link up with your mates, link up with your schoolmates, link up with your national presidents, link up with the team leads in diaspora. For those of you in UK, Chileme is there, she'll do a great job, and she can pass any information to us, one way or the other. There is a protocol, and we want to respect that, because people have their home OSAs, they're the traditional OSAs. It's always good to go through your OSA. However, if it's something that is not working very well, you can still come to USOSA and say, hey, you know what? I have this for USOSA. I'm not getting the response I really want. Can you help? And we will be quite happy to take it on. So please, our doors are open. USOSA.org is our website. We're on all social media handles. We have an Instagram account, a Twitter account. We have a website.
Sorry, you're muted, PG.
No, I'm saying that we have. I'm saying that we have social media accounts. We have an email. We can circulate this subsequently, so that people can get in touch. But please first reach your OSA. You can think of the USOSA OSA relationship as the wholesaler and the retailer. Your OSA is the retailer. It deals with all of you. Okay, we are kind of like the wholesale, and we put it together and then pass it down to you guys, and the other way around too. So I don't want people bypassing their OSAs, because you have national presidents who have the responsibility of escalating to us if the need be. You know, however, like I said, if you're not getting the response, kindly reach out to us. I'm sure we'll find a way out. So the account numbers are there. For those of you who want to make donations, don't forget, all this is voluntary. I'm not paid a salary for this. Neither are you, Dave. I know you're doing this, you're volunteering. We're not paying for this airtime. You know, you're doing it voluntarily. So that's how it works. So nobody's going to compel you, but every pound is useful. Every naira is useful. Every donation is useful, and we'll be quite happy to have it. We have a welfare secretary. We have a secretary general. We have the hierarchy which can take care of this thing. So once again, Dave, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity, and be rest assured, as President General, myself and my team are ready to work with diasporans, with people like you and everybody in the room, to make USOSA and Nigeria greater.
Thank you very much for your time, President General. Like I said, I know everybody here is quite busy. We've come to the end of this podcast. Obviously, we will hope that President General Micheal Magaji will probably join us again at some point, where we can report a lot of progress from today's podcast. I'm sure a lot of value has been shared. A lot of knowledge has been gained. And all I can say now is pro unitate. Enjoy your evenings. And I wish everybody the very best. Chileme, you're in the UK. I will definitely make efforts to contact you so we can build on what you've already started. I'm grateful for everybody's time. Thank you so much for attending. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Dave. Thank you for everybody who attended.